Off the coast of Japan, submerged in the churning Pacific, lies the Yonaguni Monument, a structure that has sparked a furious debate. It is a colossus of stone, more than 165 feet long, defined by massive terraced platforms, impossibly straight edges, and what look like carved staircases rising from the depths. One prominent marine geologist staked his reputation on the claim that it is a lost city. So why, for decades, have the official authorities mostly stayed on the sidelines? What are people so afraid of finding 80 feet below the surface? The story kicks off in 1986. A local diver named Kihachiro Aratake was scouting for new hammerhead shark-watching spots for his tour business off the southern coast of Yonaguni, Japan's westernmost island. As he navigated the deep blue, something impossible came into view. It was not a reef. It was not a random jumble of rocks. It was geometric, organized. From the seafloor, a massive object rose, its form defined by broad, flat terraces and sharp 90-degree angles. Aratake was floored. It looked to him like the ruins of a forgotten castle swallowed by the sea. He later told the BBC, "I was very emotional when I found it. I realized that this would become a treasure of Yonaguni Island." Once images of the site, now called the Yonaguni Monument, began to circulate, it became an international sensation and the heart of a fiery debate. It drew in divers and researchers from around the world, all asking the same question: what is this thing? The main formation is a rectangular monolith over 165 feet long and 65 feet wide, rising from the seabed. It is made up of dramatic, well-defined features. There is the huge, flat main terrace. There are what appear to be enormous steps descending into the gloom. Divers and researchers have also identified features that some have interpreted as twin megaliths, a triangular pool, and even circular holes that could be post holes for wooden pillars. The visual evidence is so powerful, so suggestive of human design, it seems almost absurd to question it. How could nature carve stone with such precision? How could random erosion create a landscape that looks for all the world like a sunken city? It was a puzzle that needed a champion, a scientist willing to challenge the established narrative of history. That champion would soon arrive, ready to prove that Yonaguni was a message from a lost world. Enter Dr. Masaaki Kimura. A respected marine geologist from Japan's University of the Ryukyus, he was skeptical at first, but that all changed on his first dive. Face to face with the colossal structure, his scientific skepticism gave way to a growing conviction. This was the clear signature of intelligent design. Over the next 2 decades, Professor Kimura became the world's most vocal proponent of the theory that Yonaguni is a man-made monument. He conducted over 100 dives, meticulously mapping its features and collecting data. His conclusions are staggering. Kimura declared that Yonaguni was the heart of an entire submerged complex. He identified what he believes are the ruins of a castle, a triumphal arch, 5 temples, and a large stadium, all connected by a network of roads and protected by massive walls. But his most controversial claim is its age. To support that, Kimura pointed to nearby underwater caves containing stalactites, which can only form on dry land. This shows the area was once above sea level. Based on models of sea level rise after the last ice age, Kimura argued the land was submerged around 10,000 years ago, meaning the structures must be at least that old. A city 10,000 years old. That would place its construction not only thousands of years before the Great Pyramids of Egypt, but even predating Göbekli Tepe, currently recognized as the world's oldest megalithic temple. It would mean an unknown, advanced civilization with the technology to build monumental stone architecture flourished during the last ice age, only to be wiped from memory. Kimura went even further, claiming to have identified carvings in the stone, including a sphinx-like figure and characters from an ancient script. He speculated that the monument could be a remnant of the legendary lost continent of Mu, the Pacific's version of Atlantis. Supporters like Graham Hancock, author of Fingerprints of the Gods, argue the concentration of features is unlikely to be natural. Mu is considered a pseudo-scientific myth, not a credible lost continent. These are extraordinary claims that fly in the face of established history. But to the mainstream academic world, they were about to deploy their own expert to deliver the official story. With Professor Kimura's theories gaining international attention, the mainstream scientific community needed a counterpoint. They found it in Dr. Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University. Schoch was already known for his controversial theory that the Great Sphinx in Egypt is older than mainstream Egyptology accepts, making him an interesting choice. Schoch traveled to Japan, dived the site multiple times, and his conclusion was a crushing blow to the lost city theory. In Schoch's expert opinion, the Yonaguni monument is overwhelmingly natural. He argued that the answer lies in basic geology. The monument is made of sandstone and mudstone that naturally has parallel layers or bedding planes. The area is also in a highly seismic region, full of faults that create vertical fractures in the rock. When rock that naturally breaks into horizontal sheets is then cracked by vertical tectonic stress, the result is straight edges, sharp corners, and step-like structures. In other words, nature is perfectly capable of creating what looks like architecture. Schoch pointed out that similar formations are visible on the coast of Yonaguni Island itself. He found naturally occurring depressions on land that looked just like the supposed post holes on the monument. The so-called roads were just channels in the rock, and the walls were likely platforms that fell into a vertical position after the rock beneath them eroded away. Schoch summarized his view by saying he was not convinced that any of the major features or structures are man-made. He estimates it is over 95% natural, though he conceded that ancient people might have touched it up. This is the official story, the explanation accepted by most geologists and archaeologists. Modern studies have reinforced this position. In 2019, Takeyuki Ogata's team concluded the features are natural formations of bedding and linear joints in sandstone, with no archaeological remains or traces of human activity. It is logical, it is scientific, and it does not require rewriting history books. It neatly packages the mystery of Yonaguni as a spectacular but ultimately natural geological curiosity. And with this comfortable explanation in hand, the authorities had all the justification they needed for their most baffling response: inaction. So the battle lines were drawn. On one side, Kimura and his supporters presented visual evidence of a lost city. On the other, the mainstream geological consensus, represented by Robert Schoch, offered a tidy, natural explanation. In a normal scientific debate, the next step would be obvious: more testing. One would expect teams of archaeologists and geologists to descend upon the site. You would imagine core samples being drilled, exhaustive sonar mapping, and a systematic search for the kind of evidence that would end the debate: tools, pottery, or clear quarry marks. And yet, for the most part, that has not happened on a grand scale. For decades, this world-famous site has been left in a state of suspended animation. Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs has not designated the monument as an important cultural artifact, and the Okinawa prefectural government has not carried out any major preservation work. Their official position has largely been one of inaction, leaving research to private groups and interested individuals. This is the core of the mystery. Why has there been no definitive official investigation into a site of such profound importance? The mundane explanation is one of practicality. The Japanese government's position follows standard heritage policy without clear proof of human construction. Like recovered artifacts, they do not treat it as an archaeological site. Underwater excavation is incredibly difficult and expensive. It is a bureaucratic catch-22. They will not fund a major search for artifacts until artifacts are found. But for many, this explanation feels insufficient. It is in this vacuum of official action that more conspiratorial theories take root. What if the lack of investigation is not due to budgets, but to a deliberate choice? What if they are afraid of what they might find? Think about it. If Kimura is right, and Yonaguni is a 10,000-year-old man-made structure, the established timeline of civilization would be radically revised. It would prove that advanced societies existed far earlier than ever imagined. Could it be that the academic establishment simply cannot allow this to happen? Is it possible that the official narrative is being protected? To admit Yonaguni is man-made would be to admit that the experts have been fundamentally wrong for over a century. Perhaps it is just easier to let the monument rest in ambiguity, dismissing it as a geological curiosity. The very refusal to test becomes, for some, the most compelling evidence that there is something to hide. When the questions are this profound and the potential answers are this revolutionary, official, silence feels like a statement. It feels like suppression. In the end, we are adrift in a sea of uncertainty. On one side, we have mainstream science, which tells us that the Yonaguni monument is a wonder of geology, a magnificent but natural formation of sandstone fractured by the Earth's power. It is a logical explanation, supported by geological principles and expert consensus. On the other side, we have the tantalizing silhouette of a lost world. We have the impassioned arguments of Professor Masaaki Kimura, who remains convinced it is the work of human hands. And we have the visual evidence, the stunningly flat terraces and sharp geometric angles that just look artificial. And suspended between these two views is the most unsettling fact of all, the decades of relative official silence. This inaction feeds the lingering doubt. If the natural explanation is so certain, why not fund a definitive study and close the case? Perhaps the truth, as Robert Schoch himself has hinted, lies somewhere in the middle. Could Yonaguni be a natural formation that ancient people recognized, used, and maybe even modified? This theory offers a bridge between the two extremes, but it remains just that, a theory untested on a large scale. The enduring allure of Yonaguni is not just in what it might be, but in the questions it forces us to ask. It challenges our assumptions about the past and our trust in the institutions that define it. It is a reminder that history may be far more mysterious than we are taught in school. Until a proper, fully funded investigation takes place, the monument will remain a potent symbol of the unknown, a silent stone sentinel guarding its secrets in the deep, leaving us all to wonder. What lies beneath? A geological marvel or the ghost of a lost civilization? And maybe the most haunting question of all is, why are we not doing more to find the answer? What do you believe? Is the Yonaguni monument a spectacular trick of nature, or is it proof of a lost world that some would rather keep hidden? Let us know your theory in the comments below. The mystery is far from solved, and your perspective is part of the ongoing investigation. If you want to dive deeper into mysteries that challenge what we know about the past, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss our next journey into the unknown.